Hello and welcome to episode 2 of Streamer Consciousness, our new podcast coming out talking about the stream of consciousness, a person's thoughts and conscious reactions to events perceived as a continuous flow, which ultimately streaming in general is also a continuous flow. So it is lovely to be back. We had a really great reaction from Freya's podcast last week, which was really fun. And I'm so glad to have such an overwhelmingly positive response to the new podcast and hearing about streamers and what they do with their lives. And speaking of streamers and what they do with their lives, people absolutely have no idea what Lexie does with her day. So welcome our second ever guest, Lexie Marie.
Hello,
with
the
an X after
the
it.
crowd goes wild. The crowd goes wild. Hello, everybody. Oh, I'm excited.
Do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself to begin with?
I'm Lexie. No,
A little bit more.
Hi, everybody. My name is Lexie. I stream on Twitch, but I'm also a YouTuber full-time now. Full-time content creation. I'm 19, little bubby of the group, and yeah, I'm super excited to do this. Me and Gid always have a lot of chats off stream, so it's nice to do it on camera for you guys to see what we're like.
We do. I feel as though a lot of people kind of perceive that streamers don't interact with each other off stream, and I think it's a really interesting thing with it being a job. It's our day job. When we're on stream and we're streaming, we're live, we are interacting with each other as co-workers in a lot of respects, whereas as soon as we come off stream, there's definitely a different reaction to the way we treat each other in many respects. And that doesn't mean that we're acting any differently on stream, but I'd say that it's like ramped up maybe 10 or 20% of who you are, I guess.
I remember,
exaggerated.
when we first made our OG's lobby, and I remember us all having our first off-stream conversation. I was like, oh my god, I'm talking to you guys. We're not playing a game. We're talking about our lives. And you guys have lives outside of Twitch? What?
There you go. So the first question I'd love to ask you is, what encouraged you to start streaming?
Oh, okay. So it was Miss Nelly. I think most people would know this. So I had no idea of Twitch or anything. I know quite a few people knew of it before they started. I did not have a clue. When I met G 2019, I still didn't have a clue at all. And then I remember I was going around her house and she was like, yeah, I'm doing a charity stream, so just make sure you're not too loud or anything. And I remember coming in and sitting down and watching her do this charity event, and I kind of sat in it for about an hour or two. And afterwards I was like, yo, this is so cool. And she was like, you should really try it, because if you do YouTube anyway, and I played a lot of games and stuff in my own time, she was like, give it a try, because lots of people in her chat were like, we'd love to see you start a channel. And I was like, okay, maybe I will. And it was a shambles at first, but we're here now. we got it.
I do remember some of your first streams with you specifically not talking about, you never knew what you were going to do. And I felt like you hit the go live button and you'd be like, what do I do now?
There was a rough patch.
What was it that, and I know that's something really relatable for a lot of people, is when they don't know what to play or what they are doing with themselves. What is it that helped you find a rhythm of being able to play games and go, this is what I want to do today?
Well, I mean, you know what it was? It was because when I started streaming, I did just chatting, because my computer couldn't handle me doing anything else. And my first computer, when anybody subbed or donated bits, froze. The frames were gone. And then when I started playing games, Fall Guys was the big thing. And then it was Among Us. So all I knew was team games. So once it started dying down and people started going back to the games that they mained, I was like, well, what now? What do I do now? So for a while, I remember you being like, and quite a few people were like, you just seem really lost on stream. And I was like, I am. I don't know what to do. But slowly but surely, you have to look outside of, what's gonna do well view-wise or whatever. You have to go, what would I enjoy playing? And what, because if you're a streamer and you're enjoying what you're playing, people will enjoy watching you. But if you force yourself to play a game, if I'm like, I suck at League of Legends, but if I sat and went, I'm going to play League of Legends because it's one of the biggest games on Twitch and everyone's going to watch me play it, no one's going to watch me because I suck, and I won't enjoy it because I suck. So I think just learning what I like playing helps out.
Yeah.
And also,
I think yeah, that's okay.
Also with Twitch, there's always a new top game. So right after Among Us, I started playing lobbies, and then I started playing Sims and stuff, and Minecraft, which you can obviously go off on your own. And I think games like that really helped me taper off into doing my own thing and being like, I enjoy doing this. I'm gonna do it.
For sure. I think with games like League of Legends, especially, it's a very saturated market. There are so many people out there that are, for lack of a better term, cracked at the game. They are so good. Their Twitch reactions are incredible, and they know exactly what they should be doing.
Yeah.
So when somebody tries to go into a category like that, saying, "Hey, this is what I have to offer," there is nothing wrong with exploring those kind of categories, as a heads up to anybody out there
Oh
that
yeah,
feels like
1000%.
they want to climb or do that stuff. But just know that you are running into a very competitive market.
Oof.
So I guess you saying about looking bad, there are people out there that play games that are terrible video games, but people watch them all the time. And
Yes.
I think that has its own set of values. It has its own market, but it just goes to show about being a person that people want to watch isn't always, it's not always necessary to be the best at a game.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like things like Twitch, it's so easy to get in your head about stuff. So easy, as like, as far as how many people are watching you, how does my setup look, how is everything doing. Like after playing Among Us with like DK and Hafu and all, like Five Up, all these big names, and then all of a sudden it was like, now I'm on my own, who's gonna, like, I've got, what am I gonna do? Like there was a big panic with that, and considering I was like a 3-4 month old channel, I think it was understandable. But now looking back, I'm like, oh, shut up, Lexie, wait, shut up.
Another question I was going to ask, which you brought up earlier, which is that you're the baby of the group. You know, you're only 19.
I'm only 13.
And you know, you're playing with a lot of people who are a lot older than you. Does that at any point intimidate you? Does it make you feel any different, or how do you approach that as being a younger person in a group filled with a lot of older people?
So you know what? Because if you putting it into the context of our group, I adore every single person in our streaming group, and at no point have I ever felt like, we say this all the time, at no point would I've ever thought there's any kind of age gap between us, like at all. Like even when I met people like G and Frey, the age gaps between us, not noticeable at all. Sometimes I do sit and think, and I'm like, oh, like I feel like sometimes people feel like they bait. I feel like how do I phrase this? I feel like sometimes people baby me because I genuinely don't know any better. Like sometimes, like you guys obviously have more experience than me, so sometimes there are people older than me that are going to be like, oh yeah, by the way. But sometimes I'm like, okay, like I feel like I can figure that out myself. But I know that's coming from a place of love. And then sometimes I do feel like I'm just kind of like the annoying kid of the group, and people are like, oh, what's this child doing with us? But I think I adore you guys and being able to play with older people, because there's so much experience and things that I can learn from. And you know, having friends that are older than me that do the same thing as I do and have done it for longer and know more than I do, that is so beneficial to me as both a person and a streamer. I think it's helped both my morals and my character as a person, and also my content has helped out a ton from my friends that are older than me due to the experience they have and the kind of people that they are. So I wouldn't ask for a better group of friends or streamers that are older than me, honestly. Very thankful.
Really interesting. And obviously, you know, when it comes to experience and stuff like that, what I found interesting is that you obviously do a lot of dance and stuff on your YouTube channel, and you have a really vast audience in other countries. And like, if you just want to give some of your statistics of like where people are from, like who watches you.
My top countries I think is like Thailand, Philippines, Korea, Japan, very Asian based, kind of more America as well if we're talking more like Western countries. But
so with that in mind, what is it like being a streamer who's and YouTuber whose content is primarily for an audience outside of your own country? Like what's that like?
It was very scary because when you say, oh, I've already got this established platform on something else, and you're like, hey, I'm going to start a Twitch thing, and then you shout it out and you realize people aren't going to want to come and see that. It's in a completely different range of like content. So I did feel like in a way I was starting from scratch, which I guess I enjoyed, but coming up to a whole new audience, like my YouTube audience and my Twitch audience are completely different. Not only where they're from, but their like mannerisms, the way they act, the way they comment, how they approach content. I think there'll always be a difference with that with Twitch viewers and YouTube viewers, because it is just different. The interactions and stuff like that are different. But I loved Twitch and its interaction levels, and having that difference in audience, I think I find really refreshing. and like being able to jump between the two, because I feel like it is separate. Like my YouTube is separate to my Twitch, and my Twitch is separate to my YouTube. So having two different audiences, obviously there's a crossover, but I really like having two separate audiences, honestly.
Like how do you manage that mentally, knowing that sometimes you'll be spending time? Does it ever get to you, is I guess what I'm asking, sometimes when you're on Twitch and you're like almost giving that audience what they want, do you ever feel like you're neglecting the other audience?
Oh, 1000. I literally messaged you just now being like, I haven't touched my YouTube in like a week. People are gonna come for me. Definitely, it's so hard to balance both, especially when you want to do a full day of streaming and then you finish like a 7, 8, 9 hour stream and you're like, no, I got to film, and I do not want to. And with lockdown, I'm not able to film like dance videos like I wanted to, so it is so difficult to equally share my attention. And to people on YouTube that don't follow me on Twitch, because it's obviously two different audiences, they must just be like, this girl's disappeared. And then people on Twitch are like, doesn't she have a YouTube channel? So it's so difficult. But I think one of my things is, once I move over, I'm gonna work on my time management a ton, doing like earlier streams now. I'm gonna be like, hey, my streams end at this time, and then I film like every day.
Yeah, when it comes to that, like it's such a different universe for me, thinking about having two different audiences. And it's hard enough to not feel guilty for one audience, let alone trying to balance two, which is why I found it so interesting watching you. And I think what's always been really amazing about your YouTube content is that you can feel your energy through your dance. And I think that's something that's always really resonated with me. I'm not a dancer. Like, obviously for me,
Wow.
I came from a music background. Like, for those people that don't know, I went and studied contemporary music. So I've always found the arts really interesting. So being able to see people do artistic stuff that I can't do.
All
And
musicians
again,
have
that's not
rhythm. All musicians have rhythm. I'm telling you. It's like a Darcy bustle in you somewhere.
True, but I guess the difference being that I dance with the guitar, and by that I mean you tap your foot or something like that. You have something in front of you that you're dancing with, I guess, rather than being like, my body is the instrument. And I guess what I've always found interesting is that content makes me feel a certain way about the person I'm watching. What do you hope that you make people feel when you do your dance content?
Yeah, I always wanted to be the kind of content creator, in both the general term and obviously my dance videos, who I wanted to be the kind of person that I wish I had, like just somebody who was just there and like that you knew would consistently be there. I say as I talk about how I neglected my YouTube channel. It's just like a pick-me-up, just like somewhere you can go to where you don't have to worry about like how your day's been. You can just come watch their content. It's like a whole safe space. I think that's what I really wanted my content to be, a safe space. And I think with dance, like you said, it's so easy to just watch it and for you to interpret it in your own way, that you can have a dancer that dances with no emotion, and you could have a rough day, come watch someone dance and be like, this is dead. So I'm just like, if I just get across the happy vibes and the positive vibes, or the vibes of the song, I'm happy. Like, if I can make the person watching feel entertained and safe in a safe space, I'm happy. And that goes with all my content, honestly. I just want to be there. Like, I wish somebody was there for me when I was, struggling.
What's the longest time you've spent on a video recording?
Oh, like 3 days, like to a week. Like the dance videos, considering they're the shortest ones that I do, take the longest time, because it's like locations, outfits, learning dances, sorting out places to film. And then when you film, it'll always rain or be windy, or there'll be an Uber driver conveniently parked where you want to film that keeps coming in and out, or there'll be builders or a seagull, there'll always just be something. I'm telling you, there will always be something. So it's stress, and I've taken 3 days like just running around Brighton, like, okay, where can I film? This street looks nice right here.
Gosh. Sorry, my brain is thinking about this seagull
okay,
now.
Yeah, that's a story for a different time.
I think there's no better time to tell it than right now. I'm completely honest.
Brighton and its seagulls, I'm telling you.
It's true.
Head, seagull, claws.
That is all seagulls all the time, and Brighton is one of those. It's a beach town for those that don't know. It is seagull central. So they're constantly there, especially if you have chips.
Oh, don't.
Uh,
Oh, don't. Don't get me started. Yeah, don't.
I know that I'm focusing a lot on your dance content, and I think that's just an interesting place to start because you've got almost 250,000 people that follow you
Wow.
on YouTube, and I think it's interesting to be able to take some of this away so that people can get that sense of, okay, who is Lexie Marie beyond the fantastic dancer that she is. But in terms of what sets you aside from other channels, and what category would you put yourself in with your dancing content?
So I'm on YouTube. I'm a K-pop content creator. I'd love to say that I'm a dance account, but I'm not, because my content is especially K-pop. What sets? Oh, I hate answering questions like that. 'Cause I but like, honestly, I think the one thing that sets me apart from everybody else, and that sets everybody apart from everybody else, is the fact that it's me. Like, nobody will be able to do me like I can. Like, the way that people approach things, and the way that people film, and the way their attitudes come across, their mannerisms on camera, will always set them apart from everybody, because everybody's just that little bit different. Even if I were to try and do a video like you, like if I was trying to make the exact carbon print copy of a video like you, I just couldn't, because I'm not you.
Let's hear it.
No one could do.
Let's hear your Skidward impression.
I don't know about that one, Chief. Wait, say something and I can try and copy it.
Hello, welcome to the Streamer Consciousness podcast.
Hello, welcome to the Streamer Consciousness
I love it. Kisses. There you go. See, it's easy to be Lexie.
Oh, all right. I take back everything I said. There is nothing. I've got nothing left. I'm full Ian Bill right now. Jesus.
I was thinking about this earlier, by the way, just like slightly off topic, but I was like, your dad is gonna love this. Terry is gonna have such a good time.
I can picture him sat watching it right now. Good old.
He's gonna be like, wow, there's that guy with that really nice voice that I like, talking to my daughter.
He's like, wow, technology these
K-pop
days.
channel. So
he loves it. He loves it.
Oh my goodness. Is there a reason why you don't stream dance on Twitch?
I literally do not have the space. When I first started, I really, really wanted to do it. I wanted to do like tutorials. Just dance streams are massive. I don't know how that goes down with DMCA now, honestly, but I really wanted to do it. But I just didn't have the space. Like, my old streaming room that you must have seen with the white wardrobe, iconic. Literally, like, I could go like that and touch all the walls. Tiny. Yeah. And even here now, like, I have more space now, but not enough to dance, which is sad. But when I was looking at moving, I was like, oh, I can have room to like do stuff. But now with DMCA, it's like, oh, Mr. Twitch, am I allowed, please? Can I dance?
Yeah, it's a really tough one with games like that, especially where even thinking about Beat Saber and stuff. Oh my god, of course. There are songs on there that I believe are DMCA free. Like, people can play them. And again, but I'm not. I'm never sure as to how long that lasts.
Yeah.
Because in a world where it's constantly changing, as to whether or not the music is licensed, for those out there that are wondering what we're talking about, there's a Digital Music Act that basically, if people don't have access or the copyright, the laws, to be able to listen to a certain piece of music on stream, you could get copyright striked and your channel gets a strike. Now, obviously, that happens a lot on YouTube and has happened a lot on YouTube over the course of the last sort of few years, especially of people getting copyright striked by either other content creators for their content. Now it's happening with record labels and stuff who are specifically taking action upon the fact that their music has been used without their permission. So in terms of when it comes to content like that, where do you see the future of dance or music in general on Twitch and other streaming platforms?
It's really scary to think of, because on YouTube, as well as doing like dance videos, I also do like reaction stuff, and that is obviously copyright strike. Like, I've made barely any money from YouTube. Like, my channel has what, probably over about 15 million views, and none of it is monetized because it all just gets copyright striked. And to see that get stricter every single year and then it come over to Twitch, it's like, at what point is it gonna just like get too far? Because if anything, like when you think of a reaction video, that is promoting the song directly. So it's like, not only you profiting because they get the monetization money, but then censoring their own music on other platforms. It seems kind of crazy to me. So I really hope at some point it does reach a kind of middle ground for content creators and the actual creators of the music. But at the moment, I feel like it will just continue to get stricter, which is a bit sucky as a content creator. But
I feel as though there's a disconnect between the people running labels and the people creating the content.
yeah,
Because what I've seen from a lot of musicians is that they ultimately have been like, hey, I really want you guys to be able to play my music on stream. However, my label has said that I can't do that. And ultimately, like, that is a huge disconnect between
massively.
those people that are running labels and the creators themselves of the music. So when it comes to that, I guess what I'm saying is there are definitely people out there who are running businesses like that who don't see the absolute killing of money they could make
like it's
if
promotion.
they allowed people to use their music. And some creators have been amazing about that since the DMCA hit, where they've said, hey, you know, we created our own music and, you know, we own the rights to it. You can play my music on streams. You're not going to get DMCA'd. And those people have seen such an uptick in the amount of people listening to their music. And like you said, more people are gonna benefit from that in the long run because it makes you look really good.
Yeah.
So I am very curious as to where it goes as well from here, as to whether or not we're going to see the creative arts get more and more stifled. And this has been going on for years and years.
Yeah, it's only recently really gotten like locked down though, which is kind of mad. Because before you kind of get away with it, you could be like, oh, okay, there's like 2 minutes of this song in there. Oh, it's not the full thing though. Whereas now it's like a second, nothing.
Even going back to like school, like the funding for music, for the arts in general, is being cut.
It's ridiculous.
And that in itself, I think, has encouraged in many respects more people who are artistic to go towards platforms like YouTube and other things, which I think is a positive to gain from what is a negative situation.
Yeah.
Which is definitely tough in that regard. Name something that you've learned about yourself since you started streaming.
I'm really annoying. No. Oh, cool. What have I learned about myself? I'm really cracked at Fortnite. No. I haven't even played Fortnite. I really don't know. I think I learned a lot about my own mentality, if that makes sense. Like doing YouTube, people always say, people that do YouTube and Twitch, when you do YouTube, you film a video, there's nobody on the other side, you upload it. You can just ignore the comments if you want. Obviously, you can read them. I mean, it's all pretty, you know, there's like a disconnect between the content creator and their audience. Whereas Twitch is right in front of you all the time. So I think I learned a lot about being able to handle stuff, being live and in front of you all the time, because everybody's going to have somebody pop up and say something awful about them, like in a Twitch chat. And I think when I first started, the thought of that made me like weak at the knees. Whereas now I'm just like, go away. So I think I learned a lot about myself and how I hold myself as a person as well. If you stream for 9 hours, if you pretend to be somebody else or pretend to be a character, you can't hold that for 9 hours unless you're really something. So being able to be yourself and take that criticism and try to take it too personally, because it is your job at the end of the day. Like I think my mentality is a lot stronger now, and I think I've learned a lot about myself, as in how I can handle things and how I react as a human, as a person, to different things, you know.
Was there a moment where you received that first piece of criticism where you were like, I don't know if I can handle this? Have you ever had that kind of moment, or was it always something that you learned to brush off?
I think with YouTube, there's a massive. I never really got massive hate on YouTube until like recent years. And I think there was a point where like because when you do just chatting, I think like just chatting, and I hate to be that girl, but as a girl doing just chatting, you get people come into your chats and be disgusting. And I remember like just freezing every time it would happen, be like, how do I act now? And I think I went through a phase where like I wake up in the morning and I check my YouTube comments and it would be like death threats or your like standard hate and stuff. And I'd go on to stream and it would be people saying stuff and I'm just like, I can't live like this. Like everywhere I looked there was just negativity. And I was just like, I can't live my life like this. Until it got to a point where I was like, you know what, I just need to I have the most amazing mod team that just get rid of everything straight away. You just need to water off a duck's back, just brush it off, like, okay, you don't mean anything. And I think that's why I'm so grateful. Like I'm so incredibly thankful for the girls like G, Frey, Talia, who I know the closest out of everybody, but also my stream group, because if we talk about like G, Frey and Talia, they're such strong women. I learned so much from them, and them just being like, why do you care? And I'm like, they're like, you shouldn't. And I'm like, I don't, I promise I don't. And I will always be, I'm a people pleaser. I hate the idea of people not liking me. That's been my thing my whole life. I want people to like me so badly. But getting to a point now, I'm just like, you want to say something bad? You must be having a really bad day. If you took the time to go to twitch.tv/Lexie Marie X, write something, read it back, go, yeah, and then post it, you suck. Like, what?
Where do you think you'd learned that from? The like where does that stem from, the people pleasing aspect of you?
I think I had a really hard time like at like primary school and stuff. I think my I'm not gonna say my whole life has been a struggle. There's obviously people that have been a lot worse. I had quite a hard time at school. I feel like I've always stuck out a lot, being, you know, like 8'5" and
True. You are a literal giant of a lady.
So at school I always stuck out, and I had people kind of, I hate saying the word bully, it feels so like, I think I got bullied a lot, and I always say it's because I was quiet. Like when my family, like my nan and granddad and stuff, and they talk about me being like a streamer and a YouTuber, my family always like, she is the last person we'd expect to do that, because I was always so quiet. Even to my own family, like, you will struggle to believe it, kid, but I never talked. Baffling. Like I was so quiet all the time. Like I wouldn't even speak to my family. When I did my ballet classes when I was younger, I'd cry if I had to go talk to the other girls. Like I was awful. I was so anxious. I hated being in front of people. I hated getting on stage. I like the idea of performing in front of people made me feel sick. And I think I got picked on so much as a kid for being so quiet. And then I was like, I can't do, like, little bloody 8-year-old me was like, I can't, like, I want people to like me. I want friends. And so I was like, okay, maybe if I become a bit like louder and stuff, like all these popular kids that are also loud and confident. So I became a bit louder and more confident, kind of extroverted myself. And then people didn't like me because I was loud and I was confident.
You were loud, yeah.
And like I went through such a long phase where I was on like my own, and I was like, I just want people to like me, you know. And then you reach a point where it's like, not everyone's gonna like you. No matter what you do, no matter how you are, you could be an absolute saint and there will be somebody that doesn't like you. Which is something I still struggle with. And I get very, very anxious. Like, I will say one thing. It literally happens to me on stream today. I will say one thing that I feel like gets read wrong. And I'm like, they hate me. Everybody hates me. Like, damn, what do I do? And I'm the worst for it. I just want people to like me. And growing up at school, I had so many people that just didn't like me for no reason, which is life. But I really do think it stemmed from when I was a kid. And I just wanted people to like me. And people just didn't. I'd love to know why they didn't. You know, if any of you guys from school are watching, please just, you know, send me an email. Some bullet points, nice little concise essay. Would love to know. But I've just always wanted people to, you know, to like me.
I think there's always that stigma out there as well of people being too nice or too smiley or too friendly, and sometimes it's really hard to comprehend that. That's what always catches me whenever, and sometimes, you know, we're all human. There are definitely those moments where I might be like, is that person really that nice, or are they hiding something? Like, what's going on? And I have to catch myself and ask myself that question. Is that because I feel a certain way? Like, is that because I feel like someone can't be that nice? And I think that's something that has always been interesting to me, is what is it really that's getting at me about
Mm.
that person being nice? And I think that happens a lot with Twitch and with other streaming sites, that people look and engage with that person. They look at them and they go, hey, what makes them so great?
Mm.
And I think that's why a lot of people tend to post those sort of hate comments and stuff, because they're envious, or they're jealous of the
Yeah.
situation that that person's in. And I think it's really like commendable for you to talk out about the fact that you struggled earlier on in life with stuff like that, but here you are now, you know, still inspiring.
Woo! She's still standing.
Yeah, still inspiring people and encouraging people to be themselves. And I think that's important, considering that you went through a phase of trying to be someone else, you know, like in terms of, and I don't mean that in a way of you trying to be someone that you're not,
I
but
have 9
more,
different characters. I just swip
y-
between them.
yeah, you seeing that you needed to be louder in
Mm.
your head, and that not working, I think was really interesting for you to get to a point of settling into who you are now,
Yeah.
which people love. And
Oh, thank you.
it's not hard to see why people love you for you. So I think that's really important to for people to remember, especially out there if you're thinking about starting a channel
Mm.
and stuff like that, is that you need to be aware of being authentic
Yeah.
and genuine, because it is so easy in a world like this to be overwhelmed by people telling you who you should be or shouldn't be,
Oh, 1000%.
when in fact you need to be who you want to be. um you know, and when it comes to, I think that leads me onto a good talking point in many respects, because, you know, like you said, you're very popular in a lot of Asian countries out there, and some people I'm sure would consider you a celebrity,
Oof.
um in many respects.
I'll send you
You
an
know,
autograph in the post. Good.
there we go, exactly. I will await it fondly. But but in terms of when it comes to celebrities versus YouTubers slash streamers, like
Yeah.
I guess the real celebrities, or what people would consider a traditional celebrity, how do you, like, what are your thoughts based on this notion of a traditional celebrity being someone that does acting or stuff not on YouTube or Twitch or
Do you know what's
other things?
crazy? I would never, like, I've always struggled to consider people that do YouTube and streaming as a celebrity. It's just baffling to me. I think it's because I'm in that same field. I'm like, I would never call myself a celebrity ever. Ever. Like, even if I walked into the middle of Brighton and everybody fainted at the sight of me, I would not call myself a celebrity. So that's just kind of like weird, like strange for me to see. Obviously, we have so many people within YouTube and Twitch that obviously we have the pleasure of knowing that are, like, you know, celebrity status, if you know what I mean. But for me, oh, I don't know. I think it's because I am it that I struggle to see it as a celebrity. But traditional celebrities, like people who are actors and performers and stuff, I feel like it's just a different thing, and there is that divide. But I think it's because it's a different field of work. You know, you always admire what you can't do. I think, like, I have a strong admiration for people that can sing and play instruments, because I couldn't play an instrument if you literally held a gun to my head. So I admire that because I could never do that, and I think that's that difference. Like, I've met idols in, like, the kind of K-pop world that look at YouTubers and they're like, oh my god, celebrities, because it's not their field, it's nothing that they do, so they see that as like a celebrity, and then vice versa. So I really think that's it. It's just a difference in fields of work and opinions and stuff.
Yeah. You brought up talking about how people treated you in certain categories for being a female streamer. And I just wanted to ask you about what kind of stigmas are attached to being a female streamer, and how do you combat those kind of things? And I know you spoke about it a little
Yeah.
bit there, but I'd like to divulge a bit more, I guess, into
Please do.
being a female streamer and the struggles that come with that.
Yeah. Do you know what? I'm very lucky in the fact that I haven't had anything too hard hitting. Like, I've never had a big onslaught of it, like, because you're a woman, like, you know, that kind of thing. And I feel very lucky that I feel like on Twitch for quite a lot, at least the women I know, I feel like are very, you know, well represented, and I feel like we're heard on the platform. But unfortunately, if you look at the platform as a whole, there's still a few, like, you know, injustices. But that's just life at the moment. For me personally, and I spoke a lot about this with Alice, there's lots of things where you just have people come into your stream and be like, people are only watching you because you're a girl. People are only sub to you because you're a girl, because you're wearing that, because you look like this, because you're doing, you're not even good at gaming. It's just because you're a girl that people are following you. And then you reach a goal, and they're like, it's just because you're a girl. It's not. It's never ever to do with like your ability, or if I hit like a certain amount of subs and people went, "Oh, you're a bitch. I don't get why you deserve that." I'd be like, "Thanks for the feedback. I will send it to my manager." But if people just go, "You're a girl," you're like, and what? Like, what do you expect me to do? It's so stupid how people look at it as a way to belittle people and their achievements. It's like, what's me being a girl got to do with anything? Like, what? And Alice and I have a very deep conversation. If you ever got Alice on here, she would do the most fantastic TED talk on it.
Yeah, we're talking about Aliska.
Yeah,
way,
Aliska. Oh,
like,
yeah, sorry, yeah, Aliska.
Yeah.
But it's just sadly one of those things that we have to face as women. And I'm not gonna. I've been so lucky on Twitch. Like, I feel so loved. But there are girls on there that get it 20, 50 times as bad as me. Just it's because you're a girl. Oh, I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. Oh.
Do you think that stigma also plays into a lot of people like that are doing Just Dance and stuff like that? And the fact, you know, it takes an awful lot of bravery in many respects, and I understand that there's always going to be people out there that have an opinion based on how somebody might be there because of the way they look or what they're doing in terms of the way that they're getting money. But there's still some level as a streamer, some level of bravery of going, whoa, you're taking on that sea of hate that comes along with that side of the profession, and dealing with it. And like, honestly, like, huge props to those people that stand up and go, hey, I'm doing this because I like dancing, or I like doing this is what I want to do, rather than sort of conforming to what people tell them they are. So,
and you know what?
Yeah.
So there are people that like utilize that, and I think that's amazing. You utilize the fact that you're a woman and you might have a male predominant base. That's insane. But you know what? People might arrive for how people look, but they will stay for the person. So it's like you're standing there saying, I've got so many followers because of the fact that I'm a girl, the fact that I wore a dress or whatever. But why are people sticking around? Why am I sitting here on this many average viewers? Like, what do you think? Are you stupid? Like, sorry.
I find the opposite most of the time. That people, I feel like people won't stick around because of the way I look. But when they hear me talk and what I'm talking about, that's what seems to make them stick around. And I find it really interesting that sometimes, especially, like, I feel a lot more comfortable without a face cam on, because it gives me a chance to talk and for people to listen to what I'm saying and judge me based on that, rather than basing it on what they see, which a lot of the time people judge in whatever way that they do. And again, that might just be a set of insecurities on my part of how I feel people perceive me, but it's probably the closest I can relate to that female streamer being judged immediately on how you look kind of mentality. And the thing is it's really hard to comprehend being a male streamer in a predominantly male job line, that females are treated in the way that they are treated, and how you guys have to cope with that on a constant basis. It's not that, I think what people don't understand is if you stream for 7 hours, that could be a 7-hour onslaught of people just trying to get under your skin.
And it's pretty baffling, because people will be like, oh, Twitch is full of like e-girls and stuff, but you look at the most popular streamers, there are what, 5 girls in that top 100? Like, I
don't even think there's 5. from what I remember of the list. I think Hafu was in the top 100, and she just breached into it.
Got in it.
But I haven't looked in a little while. But yeah, it's not many are in that top.
So it's like you can sit and have a guy have an onslaught when they get money, and they'd be like, oh, it's because of this. But when it comes to comparing them to male creators in a top 100, if a girl's up there, it's like, well, she doesn't belong here. But if she's getting subs, you say it's just because she's a girl, but she's being a girl isn't enough for her to get into the top gamers. Like, it makes no sense. There is literally no sense behind it, which is what annoys me. That and the fact that it's just not cool. Like,
yeah, I'm just gonna take a quick look, because I don't want to say that purely based on no evidence. No, there's a few more. I think I'm wrong
Valkyrie
about
and
loser
Pokemon.
fruit and.
Oh yeah, of course, loser fruit.
It's not many though.
No, it's definitely
It's
more
not
so
many.
now. I think now there's been a real surge of women in Twitch that are really like making a name for themselves, like Pokemon, like Valkyrie,
Yeah,
like
Lily
Pichu.
Pichu, she's in there. Yeah, Amaranth is technically in there.
It's
She's at
amazing to see. It's
87.
amazing to see.
Yeah, I think I can't remember the last time I looked, but um, it can't have been too long ago in relation to that.
No, yeah, it was during the Among Us time, I think.
There's
But
definitely been an upswing.
yeah, I've been very, very lucky though. Like I've never gotten anything ridiculous. I've got my fair share of, the dumb sexual comments and stuff and people being like, do this, do that. But besides that, I have been very, very lucky.
I was talking to Freya last week, and she said about how she feels like she doesn't perceive YouTube comments as like YouTube users as people when she sees the comment itself, whereas she feels differently when she sees a Twitch username. I was just wondering, like, if you had a different viewpoint on that. Do you see users on YouTube? And again, I'm not trying to take what Freya said out of context, because she specifically is not stating that they're not people, but she sees them more as just a comment,
Like a comment
in the void rather than the person typing a comment out. Do you see that differently, or?
I think I'll always see. I see what she means 1000%. To be fair, I struggle to. Sometimes you always do struggle when you just look at words to be like, there's a human behind it. I think I do feel like it's a human behind it more so with Twitch. Well, obviously there's a human behind it, but because it's live and you know that they're watching what you're doing right now and what they're commenting on is what you're doing right there in that moment. Whereas if it's a YouTube video, you know that it's like kind of a bit more calculated, and you can be sat there in your pajamas with a video of you dressed in whatever, and you're just like, okay, robot number 5. Like,
yeah,
I see what Freya means 1000%. Like, I do agree. I think with YouTube comments, I see it a lot more formal in a way, if that makes sense. Like, formal hate comments, you know how it is.
Easier to combat.
Yeah, because you can just wipe it. You can just brush it off. You can ignore it.
Yeah.
Whereas with Twitch, it's hard to ignore your chat. You can't engage with your chat and ignore it. Like, that's literally impossible. Whereas Twitch, obviously, it filters a lot. Like, YouTube filters a lot of things like automatically. So it's easier to ignore certain comments and just read through the positive ones. Whereas Twitch, it's all there raw before it gets filtered out. Besides like auto stuff that's really bad. But
I guess also it's easier to comprehend that you could say, well, that person might have been drunk. They might have written it at 4 a.m. I feel like it's easier to combat the YouTube comments than it is to know that somebody is sitting there at 6 p.m. Watching your stream and trying to say hateful things to you. I definitely
having a rough day. Yeah,
exactly. And I've always found it really interesting, and it was something that came up today. Tazkabaz posted about it on her Twitter, and let me see if I can just quickly pull it up, because I think it would be an interesting talking point that we have. Saying to a streamer, "You look tired," is not the best idea.
Like, I can
be a sensitive bean. This is just my face. I've tried to cover it, the lack of sleep, with makeup. And like, ultimately, telling anybody that on stream you look tired or you look sad, I get that one a lot. That happens to me. I know it's funny to you.
I get that in real life.
I've always turned around and said about the fact that I have a face like a basset hound. That I have one of those like Droopy from Snoopy or whatever it is.
Cute.
But yeah, like I have that kind of face where if I'm resting, it tends to look more like I'm depressed. That, and obviously with the way my monitor is, I'm not staring directly into my camera. So when my eyes are down here, people think, "Oh man, like, is he okay?
Is he good?
I think he's upset." And then they'll be like, "Are you sad?" And as a streamer, like, hearing a comment like that, then all you can think about is the fact that somebody out there thinks I look sad.
Yeah, and then you're
You
like,
know, that's suddenly your life in that moment is I look
I
depressed
look
to
sad.
someone. How am I supposed to help? How am I supposed to help people with that? Yeah, you look sad, you look tired. Are you having a rough day? Is another
Oh,
one,
that's my
Lex.
favorite one. It's just me with like slightly less makeup on than normal, and they're like, "Are you okay?" And I'm like,
Yeah,
"Yeah,
are
thanks."
you okay? Are you having a rough day?
Has it been a long one for you? Yes, it has.
Yeah.
Thanks, Frankie.
That and the other one that I wrote down as well based off the back of that was, what are you still doing live?
Oh, she's
Y-
still on.
you're still here? It's my job.
Guys,
That's
how long has
why.
she been live for?
Yeah, and I think that's really hard for people to comprehend as well. Is this is what we do for a living?
Yeah.
A lot of the time we will be there between, like, from my streams anyway, it's between 4 and 8 hours is the usual bracket. So but anything less than 4, and either I've got something planned or I've intentionally have taken part of that day off, or I'm just really, really not feeling it. But I always have my like set schedule in that regard. But yeah, for other people, it can be really hard for them to comprehend that you've been playing a game for
Yeah.
8 hours and stuff. So, what is it specifically that you do to counter those kind of comments?
I think first of all, just to say to anyone that they're looking tired, just a bit of. Personally, I don't let it get to me too much. It's like, you look tired. Well, I'll let you know, Connor. I haven't slept in 3 days straight. That's why. That is why. Thanks for your concern. But it doesn't bother me too much. I'm just like, okay, I'm sorry. I honestly, comments like that really don't bother me too much. Like you said, we can be live for 8 hours a day, and somebody could come in on a 5-minute, 5-second moment where we're like, and be like, you good?
Yeah.
And I know it comes from a good place. Like, people genuinely are like, are you tired? You're looking after yourself. You look sad. Like, but sometimes when you read it, the words in black and white, you read it in the worst way. I know I do that. I read comments in the worst way every time, and then I have to go, okay, rewind. Let's read that with a happy tone and see how it sounds. But personally, it doesn't bother me too much. I'm like, I'm tired because I get no sleep. Thanks for your concern.
I always tell people to read the room. Like, that's the best way I can describe it. If you're out there and you're a viewer of a channel, read the room when you walk in, like you would in any situation. Because a lot of the time, the example I give is imagine that the streamer has just lost their cat. They're having a really tough day. Their cat's gone. They don't know where it is. And someone comes in 5 minutes later and makes a cat joke. And at that point, that person has no idea that that streamer is having a tough day because of what happened with their cat. They're just assuming, like, oh, people will laugh at this funny joke I've got about a missing cat. So, and that person might get banned. And at that point, it's being aware of the disconnect and understanding that just because you think something might hit or be funny, you have to be so aware of the fact that everybody is having a different day, and you don't have the luxury of reading body language a lot of the time based on everybody else in the chat. Everyone else is just at that point a username in the chat. So you have to try your hardest to read into what everybody else is feeling, and then read that room, let people know the kind of mood you're in. Even can help a streamer go, okay, they're just, they're in a playful mood, or they're trying to lighten things up. And I've had situations where people have come in super excitable and been like, let's pump this room up, because they've sensed the room is like a little bit mellow. And as a streamer, I think it's always good to be aware of the fact that it's okay to tell someone like that, hey, we're just chilling right now, we're just trying to have a quiet time because of this set of situations. And most of the time that works, for that person to go, hey, like, either I'm sorry, I didn't quite read that, or for them to go find somebody else that they can be excitable with, and that's okay. So I think that's a really important thing. Go on. It's okay.
It's gonna be a compilation of me being like, I'm sorry.
No.
Do you know, for me, I struggle. Like, I feel that, but flipped. So when you have people come into your chat, and one of them could be like, like my cat went missing, and then the person right below them's like, I just had something amazing, and you're like, I'm so sorry, congratulations, I'm so sorry, congratulations. Like, I really would love to, as a streamer, be there for like when somebody takes the time to comment something and say it and share their day with you. I would love to respond to that the best way I can. But sometimes when you can't 100% be like, I'm so sorry or congratulations, I hate that. Like, I wish sometimes that I could just like pause time, react to a comment fully, pause time, react to the next one. And then on the flip side for me, some like, you know, my banter is very like, you suck, you know. I'm a bit of an insult.
You like
Banter
to,
is very sarcastic.
you make light of situations
I'm
a
very
lot
sarcastic.
by going for that sort of sarcasm angle.
So my chat can make jabs at me that I know they're joking with, but if I'm having a bad day and I sit down and they start, in my head I'm like, shut up. But I don't, like, it's fine. Like, it's fine. If it was any other day, it would be fine. So I'm just like, suck it up. Okay, take it. Well,
See, that comes with the brand. I feel like if you set yourself as one of those people that's making those kind of jokes and jabs at people,
you'll be ready to take
and
it.
you got to be ready to get them back, because the thing is, and it happens a lot with like the Sidemen videos and stuff, where they jab at each other a lot, and then somebody out there in the comments will be like, why are they being so mean to this person today? And you need to recognize like that some days will just be harder than others, but you have to understand that what you see in content creation, you're going to miss out on a lot of stuff you don't see in the rest of their days. And I think that's really important, that people, when they come in and say like, get some rest or you look tired and stuff, you have no idea a lot of the time what's gone on in the rest of my day.
Do you know
so
what? That links into what you were saying about the comments being human or not. And do you know what? I think people feel less emotionally connected to YouTube comments because that isn't edited down. When you sit down for a YouTube video, you're a lot more like, hi guys. It's edited down, it's filtered, so you feel like it's not actually really you they're insulting. It's like a polished YouTuber. It's three edited down minutes of my 24-hour day that I'm throwing at you to watch. Whereas with stream, it is you raw, because again, you can't fake that kind of stuff for that long. 9 hours out of your still 24-hour day, that's still less than half a day, but still it's you, and it's you in that moment unedited. So it's a bit, I think that's why it feels more real, because it is unfiltered. But like for me, 9 times out of 10, you say something sarcastic to me, I'll be like, I'll laugh at it. But it's when it's that one day, and that's the thing with streamers. Streamers can't have a bad day. Content creators cannot have a bad day, or they can get like, it could be their end. Like everybody, you come on one day and you lose your crap, or you snap, done.
I've had situations like that where people have said, you know, like, if you need to end, you can.
I
And
get
stuff.
that.
Like, if you need to end stream, you can. And I have always, in response to that, said, hey, if I'm in a position where I was so actually, like, if I was actually angry, there is no way I'd have been on stream at that point.
Yeah.
Because when that is my job profession, I know as a professional that I would not put myself in a position where people see me actually angry and upset about something, because again, this is my job. And I think that's something that a lot of people also don't seem to understand, that a lot of the people they watch, and I'm talking about like people like XQC and other streamers like that scream and shout a lot.
Yeah.
It's still their job. I'm not saying that what they might be saying at certain moments isn't how they're feeling in that instance, but they are doing what they do.
Yeah.
And you have to be aware of the fact that a lot of people in those positions understand when they need to come off stream and end.
Yeah.
And I think that's an important thing to remember.
You know, I might get a little too deep, but oh, what was I gonna say? I've forgotten. But you know, like, when you're in front of a camera, no matter what, you will be putting on a little bit of a front. You can be like so real, but naturally, as humans, when we're in front of a camera, we're a bit more like, oh, okay, let me sort my posture out, let me sort out my hair out. Like, you can be the most real person. Like, I'd say people in our stream group, we're all pretty non-filter, but you will always be a little bit of a filter.
It's an exaggerated version of you.
So Josh and I, Ellum and I, we always talk about how I feel like we feel like our Twitch brand is that we're loud and we're always like off the walls, like energy. But like I said, when I was at school, I was always very quiet, and then I forced myself into becoming this extroverted person. So I feel like I am an introvert in an extrovert's body. And Josh says the same. We'll be bouncing off the walls or stream, then we'll end stream, and I'll just sit here.
Yeah.
Like, literally not even, nothing else, like, and it's exhausting. Like, it's draining. Like, genuinely, sometimes it just feels like you have worked, like, worked. Which I know it shouldn't be, because like this is one of the best jobs ever. Like I'm so lucky to be able to make this my job, honestly. But sometimes I finish a stream and I'm like, oh my god, Jesus. So I think that's another thing to take into account as well. Like we are as content creators human, but there is always that little front, you know, just a little bit.
Yeah.
You know, so to keep in mind there is always things that like I'm very open on my streams. Like I'm an open book in general. Like you ask me a question, I'll answer it. But there are still a lot of things that people don't know about content creators. And I think the thing with Twitch is that I'd love to be friends with all of my followers, man. Like, I'd love to. But sometimes people feel like they are so much closer and more entitled over a streamer or a content creator's actions than they really are, which sounds really harsh. Like, sometimes some people say stuff in chat and I'm like, who are you to tell me that? Like,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I love you. Thank you so much for talking about. Why are you saying that? Which I think is hard.
Yeah.
Like, some people do need to remember that, again, you are just seeing a streamer behind a screen out of their full day, and you don't know have a clue what we're like behind. I could be an absolute bitch, kid. I could be the worst person alive, and you just might not know.
Just holding this there.
Think about that. So I think that is just the thing with like content creation in general. It's just one of those sticky ones that, like, I'm just very lucky that I've met people on the platform that have been so real, and it's just a bit of a landmine map sometimes with like, who are you? When you speak to streamers on stream, and they're so lovely that you can talk to streamers offline, and it's just like a whole different person. You just need to be aware that, like, you know, before you say
I feel like it's difficult. It goes back to what people would consider white knighting, right? The idea of standing up for somebody else because you like them. And the thing is that sometimes that streamer is completely okay with standing up for themselves, but other people jump in front and feel as though they should be mad for you, when a lot of the times you're not even upset about what somebody said. And I think it's very important to recognize that you feeling a certain way as a viewer doesn't necessarily mean that the streamer feels the same way as you do in that moment. And you need to recognize that. With my mods especially, there are certain moments where a troll might come in and say something, and my mods instantly want to delete it. And sometimes I will be like, hey, let's let them talk. Because a lot of the time, I also want to make sure that I understand why that person feels that way and have that discussion so that person knows, like, oh, maybe I have got him wrong, or stuff like that. And sometimes it's for my own amusement. I'm very much like you. I can be very sarcastic as well. So sometimes it's like, okay, let's see where this goes. And I've given people opportunities in the past where they've come in as multiple accounts and they've tried to disrupt the stream and, you know, call me names. And at one point, Lex, I got to the point where I said, you have 60 seconds to give me your best shot. You try and insult me. 60 seconds, let's go. The only thing they ended up putting in the chat was, in capital letters, beast. That was it. And I was so disappointed. I was so disappointed that in 60 seconds, that is the only insult they could think of, was calling me a beast. Which, you know, I like Beauty and the Beast anyway, so
Banger,
you know, that's pretty cool. Mr. Beast's a good guy.
Champ.
Yeah, exactly. So, but man, was that a disappointing moment. Like the thing is like, I'm not out there trying to get roasted by people or anything like that. But sometimes in those moments, you can absolutely counter trolls and other people like that by just letting them wear themselves out.
Yeah, they will run themselves into the ground. Do you know what another thing is about streaming for me? Like I said, I love my job. I adore every single person that comes into my streams, anybody else's. Like, people take the time to sit and watch me, sit and comment. I appreciate that so much. Like, genuinely, I love this job more than anything. But it feels like the second you say something that is like, I'm having a bad day, or it's like, I'm sorry, people are just like, oh, who do you think you are to say, like, you do this for a job, like, you brought this on yourself, and it's like, I'm sorry, okay, I'll never have a bad day again. Like, I think I tweeted something, because I've been going through a bit of like a rough patch recently, and somebody commented and was like, imagine living in a third world country, that's what a real struggle is. And it's like, that's not what I'm saying. Like, people have it way worse than me. I'm not gonna, like, yeah, sorry, okay, I'm having an off day. There are people have it way worse than me. That doesn't mean I can't, as a content creator, have a bad day. Which I think that is another thing. Like, I feel bad to be bad, like, feel bad. Like, and it links to the, I hate having days off, and I know that you're the same. Lots of content creators are the same, especially on Twitch. Having days off, the worst. But sometimes you need to, just to reset. But it's just some of the things that I feel like people, without even realizing, do have this image that we're like robots, kind of thing, you know? Like, not every single day is going to be a good day. Just like every day isn't going to be a good day for you, or for whoever's watching. Not every day is going to be a good day, sadly. I wish it was for you guys. Just like, know that there's always something going on with everybody. You know, like, we're going to have bad days. Allow people to have bad days, you know? That's just, I'm sorry, that's just something that came to my mind.
We recently had our Twitch recap as well for 2020, which I didn't talk about last week with Freya, because we didn't have it yet at that point, but I can talk about it with you. In my recap, I was live for 1,764 hours in 2020.
That is crazy.
That's 1/5 of the year of 2020. I was live streaming.
Sorry, that's phenomenal.
Yeah. So for like a month and a half or whatever, I was live. That's terrible maths, isn't it? Well, it's longer than that.
I got C, it's fine.
Either way, a couple of months of my life, I was live in 2020.
That's incredible, though. Good, genuine. Like, wow.
But the thing is that those days that I took off were still days where I felt guilty or bad for taking those moments to yourself. And I think people don't always understand the level of pressure that we put on ourselves when we have an audience of people that in many respects look to us for or rely on us to be there for those days. And this is why I've always stated that I'm not a healthcare professional when it comes to this stuff. As much as I can help people and be there as a streamer for them, a lot of people need to understand that streamers are going to have bad days, like you said, and they need support as much as you need support sometimes.
You're putting this so much better than I did.
Well, I just think that's a really important thing that you brought up. That it's okay to have those bad days, but also on the flip side of that, streamers often feel as though if they're not there, that people might go elsewhere, and that as much as you will get audience members or viewers that watch you who say, I will support you nonstop, you're not always there for those viewers. Like, you're there to find more people that want to watch you as well and continue to grow that way. So it's not about taking days off and feeling like you're going to lose your entire audience. It's about, okay, which opportunities could I be missing out on if I'm not there? And I think that's an important thing to think about.
You know how I always look at, and I always say this to my stream as well, it's like, if you're at 100% and you wear yourself down to 80 and then you give yourself like a couple hours rest, or you like kind of just like do a short stream, you're only bringing back your energy back to like, what, 85. So you can only ever do 85% as if it's 100%, you know? Whereas you have that day off, like when you need it. Because I remember I was watching Frey's and your podcast today, and Frey was talking about sometimes people take days off when they don't need to. We do be lazy sometimes. That's life. But if you recharge back to 100, that's 100% you can be giving something. Not 85%, 100% of 85%. It's 100% of 100%. Like, you can give your all, and that sometimes can be more beneficial. But for me, like with days off, you know, I struggle with, you get the comments where you're like, this made my day, which I love seeing. I love knowing that people came to my streams and they're like, this stupid cows made my day. But then when you have your days off, it's like, oh shoot, like these people are waiting on a stream that's not gonna happen. I hate it. I genuinely can't stand having days off. It breaks my heart, man, honestly.
But ultimately, you know, we plan on doing this for a long time being in content creation. Like I said, with you being 19, you've got like another 150 years to live. So that's fine. But I think that's something that you need to be aware of as a streamer. And the best advice I can give to you guys out there is, again, if I was live for a fifth of the year of 2020, then 4/5 of the year, I need to spend my time correctly and not feel guilty for spending that time on myself or taking that time off, or obviously working in
many
creating other
hours.
aspects. But I think it's important to also then not judge yourself by others' standards. With those recaps, there were a lot of moments where it was like you'd see other people that had streamed for a lot less time who have gained a lot more traction or a lot more followers and stuff like that. And it was hard to begin with to separate the two things of, well, that person's put in less work because they've done less hours, but they've got more followers out of it. And I think that is something that I saw a lot of from people. But realistically, you need to focus on your own lane and how you've been doing compared to how you were doing the year before or other times like that. Focus on that, because that will ultimately help you a lot more than it would you sitting there and comparing yourself to other people.
Exactly. So I've only been doing Twitch full time for like since maybe like November. November. It's like 2 months I've been full time. I did under 500 hours of streaming this year, which is mad. But I just look at that and I'm like, okay, this year, full time streamer, let's just bang it out. Like, that was a warm up kind of thing, you know? But I feel like you're probably the same as me. I'm my own worst critic. So even looking at other people's numbers, I'm like, oh, Lexie, you're so awful. Like, you're so bad. You should have streamed more. Like, those days when you were tired. Like, my schedule back when I was working part-time as well was crazy. So the fact that I'm sat here being like, you should have streamed more is mad to me, because I literally could not fit it in. But I get so harsh on myself, and I'm like, you should have done more. But I'm so excited for this year. I'm excited for everybody, like all of my stream friends this year, like how much everybody's going to achieve. I just have such a good feeling about this year for stream. I'm so excited to be able to spend it with you guys as well.
Yeah, I think it's important to know that we've got a long way to go ultimately, and this is the beginning. That was something I was going to mention as well. We've talked a lot about people as viewers and being aware of how streamers feel, and then as a streamer being aware of how you are feeling in comparison to other people. The other thing I'd love to mention is, obviously you got partnered on Twitch, and which is awesome. Yeah, congratulations. You got partnered first time, smashed it. And all that. You were very, very concerned about it when we were talking before.
Yeah, I was adamant I wasn't going to get it first time. I was very adamant. That's just me being harsh on myself again, though.
But what I wanted to bring up about it was, what's changed since you got partnered? Has anything realistically changed?
Do you know what it was? I think it gave me a real kick up the butt, because once I got partnered, I was still on my old webcam I think I said in my other room as well. Yeah, I said in my other room. And I was like, you can't be looking like this, partner. So I think that night I dropped so much money on a new setup, which obviously I have all sorted out now. And I probably wouldn't be streaming on this setup if that hadn't have happened. I think it gave me more of a sense of self-worth, I guess. I've still got a long way to go. I've only been streaming not even a year. I've got so much to improve on as a streamer, and so much I want to improve on. But I think becoming partners first time, it's like a double-edged sword. Because at one end I was like, this is insane. But at the other end I was like, I got it so quickly. Where do I go from here? Like, I've got so much time now for it to go downhill. Like, but I'm so grateful. I'm so freaking grateful that I got it first time. Like, I actually cannot put into words. But yeah, what it did for me definitely was just that confidence to kind of be like, this is the right thing I'm doing. Because when I went full time, it was the biggest step into the dark. Second biggest step into the dark I think I've ever done in my life. And I don't regret it. It's one of the best decisions I've ever made. But yeah, being partnered really gave me that, like, you're doing the right thing. Like, it felt like a sign that I was doing the right thing, you know?
I think it's a level of validation that you have made good decisions and all that. And like I said, there's only 0.5% of streamers are partnered on Twitch. 0.5% of
that's hard.
the 10 million people out there that stream or have streamed are actually partnered, and that just goes to show that you are literally in the top 0.5% of people. So you must be doing something right.
Look at us shining good. Look at us shining.
But I think the other thing is that it's still just the beginning. I feel like a lot of people think that partnership is the end goal for them, rather than it being the beginning of you taking your steps to better your content and stuff. And I think that's something that you see happen a lot, where people taper off, or they don't know what they're doing specifically after they get partnered because they didn't plan for what was next, and stuff like that. So what is next for you in terms of Lexie Marie? Where do you go from here? Like, for the, don't forget the X.
Don't forget the X.
But
yeah, I think I had two separate goals. One as like a business oriented goal, and one is like personally. So personally, recently when I stream, first of all, it's just been the biggest serotonin boost. I've never had so much fun in the past couple of days streaming. Like, you know, sometimes you're having a bad day and you're like, I don't know if this is going to be a good stream. Then you press go live and it's just like, like, that's what it's been like. And at the moment, I've been feeling such a sense of community. And once you feel that community, it's so addictive that you just want to keep feeding it and like building it. So I just really want to just build such a safe and happy community. That's one of my biggest goals on Twitch. Like, I just want to bring out good content, have immaculate vibes, have the best community. I already do. Next Legion, big up. But I just want to continue growing that. But as on a business side, that's another hard thing about Twitch, having the fact that it's a job. You have to have a business side to it. I really want to build myself as a brand. Really, which I've always struggled with, I think. And when I met G and Talia and everybody, and G was like, you need to brand yourself, and I was like, what? That's something I really want to work on this year. Like, who is Lexie Marie? I'm not gonna lie, Gid, I'm looking at getting rid of the X.
That does not surprise me.
It's so annoying, isn't it? It's so annoying. One of my big goals is I really want all my handles to just be Lexie Marie, which is but it is a very mainstream name, so it's gonna be a challenge. But yeah, I'd like my Twitch to be changed to just Lexie Marie. So
with the branding, would you brand yourself differently for your audience in the US and the UK and Europe versus the branding for you in Asia?
Yeah, do you know what it is? My YouTube, I don't know why I moved away from the microphone then. My branding over in YouTube, like, it's just so different. I don't think I can explain it. With Twitch, I feel like with Twitch, Instagram, TikTok, that my brand is me. You know, like, I am the content. Whereas with YouTube, my content is what I'm doing. Like, my content is the dance. My branding is the dancing and the K-pop and the way I react to stuff. It's not me. Like, you know, people come to my channel. Obviously, quite a few people subscribe to me, come to me for me. But for the most part, people come because they're fans of the music I listen to, or the bands I'm dancing to. Whereas with Twitch, Twitter, and Instagram, they're there for me. So the branding for my Instagram, my Twitter, and Twitch and all that, it's definitely more like me, and it feels a lot more human. Whereas YouTube's a bit more like polished and pristine. It's like, okay, I'm gonna do a really high production. I wish my videos were high production. Jesus Christ. One day, dance videos can be really clean. There's not, you know, it is very different. But I want to work on me as a person, my brand, which I think is going to put a lot of stress on me as a human, because I feel like I'm going to have to live up to this brand that I'm building for myself. I'm my own worst enemy. I'll kick myself down any chance I get, honestly. But I'm very excited for it. Like, I'm so excited of what I've started. When I started Twitch, I never expected to get the success and the love that I've got now. So I just want to see where this goes, you know, to have a full year to really work and grind on it. And with the virus and the pandemic and everything, it sounds awful, but there's never been a better time to be a content creator, you know. Obviously there's downsides. That's how that was phrased very badly, but
it's been difficult because
but
it's a double-edged sword as well, because a lot of people out there that might have disposable income to spend on supporting you now don't have that disposable income as well, even though they still want to continue supporting you.
Yeah, that's
so. And I've been making sure to tell people, like, ultimately, like, you've got to put yourself first in this with lockdown and all that stuff. And I think that has also really made taking days off even harder, knowing that people are ultimately trapped inside their houses and you might brighten part of their day, which is why I've always tried my hardest to continue to promote my friends and other stuff like that. So if I'm not there, people still have somebody that they can go to who I trust, that they can watch and stuff
Yeah.
like that. So I think that's a really important thing as well, is that creators working together,
Mm,
ultimately you're all working towards the same goal. And if there's literally millions and millions of people that watch the streaming channels or YouTube, there is enough people to go around. I think a lot of
yeah.
people worry, like, if that person isn't watching them, then they're going to miss out or lose support. And the thing is it's completely possible for people to watch more than one person and support more than one
Yeah.
person at once. So I think that's a very important
But just like to quickly say, I
thing.
phrased that very badly. The way I meant that is like there's no better time to be a content creator. It's the fact that, you know, we're at home, we're kind of forced to, you know, make more content. You know, we plan our days a lot more. We can make more content as streamers and stuff, and there are more people open to what we are creating. Obviously, very excited for this to
Yes,
be over.
I get what you're saying.
Yes.
Like there are more
Phrase that very
people that
badly.
maybe wouldn't be streaming or live
Yeah.
that are more freely available at the moment because of the
Yeah.
pandemic
Like Twitch has
than they would
boomed this
be.
year. And I
Yeah.
think it is pretty down to the pandemic, but saying that, it's obviously negatively impacted people more than it has positively impacted people. So obviously, don't want it to stick around. Go play.
Yeah, especially for your videos and stuff, being able to get back
Oh,
out and
please let me leave the
do some
house.
dancing
I'm going crazy.
and all that stuff. So, but yeah, so you want to see more from your brand
Yeah,
next year and all that
business-wise.
stuff.
Yeah.
Would you come back on the podcast?
No.
No?
I'd love to. I'd love to. I actually had so much fun. I already feel myself overthinking the answers I said and being like, oh God, how are people going to pick holes in that? But I had so much fun. I love sitting and talking with you.
It's the thing is if you've left room for people to quote unquote pick holes in it, that's a good thing because that sparks debate.
Oh,
And
let's get the
ultimately, I'd much
algorithm
rather
going.
I'd much rather see people debate things from whichever side
Yeah.
they side of the fence they sit on than sit there and say, well, this is what I hope they'd like me to hear. You know, because like I said, be yourself. And when it comes to the comments, I'd really love to hear from people as to what they've been doing during the pandemic, the lockdown, and how much more time you've invested in streamers or streaming.
Oh
If you are a
yeah,
streamer,
yeah.
I'd love to hear more about what you do to fill up your time and all that stuff. You also spoke about branding. My goodness, last week I finally did it all. I sorted it out. We have some branding. We have we have actual social media as well.
Woo!
So yeah, check us out on Twitter at Caster Minds, which is basically like streamer consciousness, you know,
Ah,
like Caster Minds. Because streamer consciousness was too long to put in a
damn
Twitter handle.
it!
But yeah, so at Caster Minds for that. We're also available on the old boomer site that is Facebook. I have a little
Face what now?
exactly. I know. That honestly, Lex, was one of the craziest things when I met someone who was born in the year 2000 and they said they weren't on Facebook. That was the first point at which I felt old. You know, and I get
got
it
it.
now.
It's cool. I have it. So it's good.
I get it now, but like there was that moment of being like, oh,
Time
like
stops.
people have moved on, you know.
Humanity has
But,
developed beyond me.
but yeah, but we still we have a Facebook page. I think it's just streamer consciousness as well on there. We also have an Instagram where we're going to be posting Lexie's beautiful face with her permission
No.
on there as well. So that's gonna go up, and then yeah, I haven't ventured into other social media yet, but maybe in the
TBC.
future. So but yeah, and also obviously follow Lexie on all of her various socials, which will be below her right now and all that stuff. Do you want to just quickly say them all so I can get them right?
Instagram is what is it? Lexie Marie. Lexie Marie with 2 E's and an X. Twitter is Lexie_Marie X. And then YouTube is just Lexie Marie. Twitch is Lexie Marie X. Don't worry, I will get rid of those X's if it kills me. And thank you so much for having me on. I actually had so much fun.
Of course.
I love to
I'm
sit
really
and chat
glad.
with you. Good.
Yeah, me too. Me too. It's I think it's one of those things that people often get really. Some people get weird about it on Twitch, where they're like, "Oh, you know, Gid and Lexi are hanging out and all that," and it's like she's like my little sister. So for people out there that that are watching. Lexie's awesome. Definitely go and check her out and
It is
and
awesome.
watch all her content and all that stuff. So yeah, and I will be back next week with a new guest already established. So that should be good. Should be exciting.
Ready for it.
Yeah. So thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next episode. Goodbye.